Senator Roebling for inviting us, and thank you both for being here, your leadership. Now we'll open it up for questions of anyone here, or comments, concerns. Yes.
I am Townsend from Belle, Plaine, and I'd like to say that for the past 75 years, the crossing of the river in Belle Plaine has withstood every single flood. When the roads closed in Jordan, in Chaska, in Shakopee, and Savage, many of the people would go to Belle Plaine and cross. We have practically a traffic jam in Belle. The bridges in south of it, in Blakely, in Henderson, in Lesueur, all those people come to Belle Plaine to cross on Highway 25. A good portion of our school district lives across the river. It's the one lifeline that we have in the area to get across. Now, are there any preparations being made to make sure that we can withstand this flood this year?
Yes, Ed, I can tell you that we have met with representatives from DOT, and they do understand the significance of 25. We have asked them to do everything possible, and they've indicated to us that they will, including the possibility of sandbagging and possibly putting a levee up along that shoulder to keep the road open. They've also indicated that it's possible that they'll allow traffic to go through even if there's water on the road, which is a change from their previous policy. Now that comes with risk as well, depending upon how deep that water is. And there's also some safety concerns about that. If the shoulder gets too saturated, or if the road bed gets saturated underneath the road, and you start driving heavy vehicles across it, there's a possibility of that breaking up and being unsafe for everybody. So we did meet with them, I can tell you that. Representatives from Carver County and Scott County were there, as well as some of the cities, and that is what they have told us that they will do.
Well, I expect you'll get that kind of good response from that, but you had 3 people to call, the chairman of the committee, and Senator Roebling, and myself, so thanks.
Governor John Schmidt, the mayor of Shakopee. I laud you on the work that's being done in general on the risk that we share relative to the flooding of the Minnesota, but I'm kind of the resident valley historian, if you will. I go back to the 51 and 52 floods, if you will, and the lessons we learned from 51 and 52 along with 65, where I threw sandbags out behind Peavy to keep that out of water, and the lessons we learned to do diking, and the lessons we learned in building highways and bridges. We put the bridges out of harm's way in the floods. Unfortunately, our first high water bridge came 45 years after the 1951 and 52 floods. That's our Bloomington Ferry Bridge out here. Unfortunately, the approaches on the rest of the bridges are out of high water, but the approaches are pre-1950. What concerns us most is that we don't wait another 50 years to get the approaches fixed. You know, I think we've lived long enough with that challenge, and we would like to get further help in improving those, because we continue to grow, and we're pleased at our economic development, but we're looking for even more.
Why don't we, Senator, why don't we bring the chair of the Met Council and the Commissioner of Transportation here whenever, anytime, next, in a couple weeks, and why don't we, launch that discussion? I think it's really crucial that you guys start looking ahead, and they have a shared kind of oversight responsibility, and because I mean, you're right, the economic development and social development and vitality of this region depends on those connections.
Governor, I'm John Ulrich, Scott County Commissioner, and again, thanks for coming with your team, and we appreciate this. And just from a scales perspective, we do want to put forward 4 things that would really be long-term solutions. One is to elevate our river crossings, as already been alluded to. That's critical. Most of those close in flood events. Then we need to add capacity to the Bloomington Ferry Bridge. That's been also alluded to, restriping. But we want to see a permanent way we get capacity to the Ferry Bridge. And then we need to designate 169 as a transfer way. We've been battling this issue for a long time with the Met Council and asking that we would have 169 designated a transit way and elevate the importance of that in the region, and we would like to see help on that. And then finally, we need a new river crossing, and this is a major item, but the EIS and the studies involved with that need to be completed for the Trunk Highway 41 river crossing. And so those 4 items are really what we need to see happening. We appreciate all your help on that.
Well, again, we'll give better notice this next time about a meeting, but it sounds like this will be a very timely again to bring the chair of the Met Council, Commissioner of Transportation, and the leadership legislator, and anyone else you think should be included, either of you, and that'll be a good agenda to start with.